あのスペースハリアーが2メガでついに新登場。テレビゲーム初の 3D 感覚、超迫力ソフト。迫り来るドラゴンをツーフィンガー連射で倒せ。スペースハリアー。Sega!
Hi, welcome to the Retro Shed. I'm Barry, and this week I've been thinking about the arcades. Well, thinking about the arcades as they were back in the early 80s. Now, it's fair to say that the video game crash of 1983 had a huge impact on not only the home market, because video game sales literally went through the floor and people were sending back ET cartridges and the like there was no tomorrow, but the arcades also suffered a little bit, and there were certain arcade companies or manufacturers at the time that were really pushing the boundaries of technology just to get you through the door and spending your 10 pences or quarters, depending on whereabouts in the world you are. And none more so than Sega. And this got me thinking about an arcade machine that absolutely blew me away when I first saw it, and that was Sega's Space Harrier. I first saw Space Harrier at the West Midlands Safari Park here in the UK, and I must have been about 12 or 13 years old, and I'd never seen a cabinet like it before. And the queues were incredibly long, and there were people clustered around it, and it took me ages before I could actually summon up the courage to have a go, and it was incredible. So today I wanted to spend a few minutes looking at the awesome game that is Space Harrier. I'm sure you've all heard of Sega's legendary division called Sega Amusement Machine Research and Development Department No. 2, or to give it its otherwise more familiar name, we know it as AM2. Now, to fully understand Space Harrier and where this game originated means we need to take a look back at just how Sega were developing and operating their arcade business back in the 80s. By 1985, Sega were manufacturing arcade machines that went far beyond the standard joystick 2 buttons stand-up arcade cabinets that we were used to seeing in chip shops. Sega's research and development teams adopted a policy that was known as Taikan, and what in Japanese this actually means is body sensation, and this referred to the cabinets with much more than just buttons and joysticks. Innovative designs came from Sega such as Hang On, Outrun, Afterburner, as well as Space Harrier. The first of such games, Hang On, was released in 1985, and the full-size arcade machine featured a fiberglass motorcycle that players could sit on and lean from side to side to steer their bike. Hang On was one of the first of the 16-bit generation of arcade games, and the visuals used a technology known as sprite scaling to achieve a pseudo 3D effect with only 2D sprites, but more about that later. The second type of this game, Space Harrier, came later in 1985, and although AM2 didn't actually exist as an entity until 1990, the seeds of AM2 were born 5 years previously. From 1990 onwards, the development teams within Sega became their own departments, and AM2 was headed up by a talented designer called Yu Suzuki. Yu Suzuki was an absolute pioneer at using sprite scaling. This was the name given to the technology that Sega used to give the appearance of 3D effects on a 2D plane, and you can see the result of this in Hang On, Space Harrier and Outrun. Later on in the 90s, Yu Suzuki also pioneered the groundbreaking 3D polygon graphics seen in the likes of Virtua Racing and Virtua Fighter. Space Harrier is an on-rails arcade third-person shooter, and it's the result of some previous experimentation with a third person zooming into the screen when Sega previously launched Buck Rogers' Planet of Zoom back in 1982. So, Space Harrier, what's it all about? Well, you're this blonde chap with a jetpack, which also happens to be a laser cannon, and he has to complete 18 stages by shooting enemies, avoiding objects and missiles and trees and other stuff. The game is controlled by an analog joystick which not only registers direction, but it also measures the magnitude of force you're using, and if you are lucky enough to be sitting in the full-size sit-down cabinet, this also moved in conjunction with the joystick control, giving you the sensation of flying. Space Harrier, the name itself gives you a bit of a clue about what the origins of this game was. Yu Suzuki originally wanted this game to feature military planes, and you were meant to fly a Harrier jump jet. but graphical limitations of the hardware meant this had to all be scrapped, and the game now features the blonde chap that we all know, and he's known as the Harrier. The game's visuals were designed to appear family friendly and largely a homage to artist Roger Dean and his 1984 film The NeverEnding Story, which also features flying creatures and landscapes similar to those seen in the game Space Harrier. Incidentally, Space Harrier actually has nothing to do with space whatsoever, and none of the levels feature in space at all. The music is also instantly recognisable in Space Harrier, and this is for a good reason. Not only is it a brilliant tune that sticks in your head for days after playing the game, but the composer was Mr. Hiroshi Kawaguchi. He still works for Sega today. Now, you may not have heard his name, but you would have definitely heard some of his work. If you've ever played Outrun, Alex Kidd, Enduro Racer or Afterburner, you are listening to his work, and it really is brilliant. The success of the arcade game ensured that it ended up becoming one of Sega's most ported games in its history. This machine is a shining example of what made the golden years of the video arcade so special, and it's a sad footnote in the history of Sega itself. This once mega corporation that could do no wrong and churned out some of the world's most amazing arcade cabinets back in the 80s and 90s has all but disappeared into nothing but a development studio today, and that's a massive shame. The best version that we've actually got to look at is Space Harrier on the Sega Saturn, and I was having a play of that earlier. So let's have a look at Space Harrier on the Saturn. I remember. So Josh has decided to poke his head into the shed
for the last video.
For the last time, but more on that later. Well, no, you won't. You'll pop in from time to time. Don't be silly. It's not like you're leaving home, is it?
Nah, but you know.
Josh decided that he doesn't want to do videos anymore. So Josh has joined. You started high school, haven't you?
Yes.
Past couple of weeks. We digress for just a minute, folks. Sorry. Josh has started high school, and you know what it's like when you join high school. It's all about being as cool as humanly possible, and doing videos with your dad is not cool. I suppose it's about as cool as going clubbing with your dad, isn't it? And you wouldn't want to do that, would you?
That's just weird.
You wouldn't want to go clubbing with your dad, would you?
No, because that's just weird.
No, exactly. Unless your dad was a top DJ. That's alright then. So, Josh has decided that he doesn't want to do Retro Shed videos anymore, which is sad, but you know what? We've had a good time in here. We've made some great videos and we've had some fun. And it's not like he's going to... I guarantee he's not going to disappear. You won't disappear.
Nah.
What you will do, you'll pop in from time to time.
Discover that you're filming.
Discover that I'm filming and intrude. Like he just did. And also, there'll be times when we go to places like, you know, we'll go to events and you like the events. Actually, we're going to events soon, aren't we? We're going to Burgess Hill.
Yes.
To see Press Start to join and the gang. So we're really looking forward to that. Josh will be included in that. But from the weekly episode, you don't want to do it anymore because you're 13.
I got kicked off my PlayStation, so...
Oh, another thing, yes, he's been kicked off his PS4. That's the only reason he's come down here. Right, this... Oh, what am I doing? This is Space Harrier. On the Saturn. And it's a very, very good version. It's probably... Josh can have a go in a minute. Left, right, up, down, and fire. So, this is probably as arcades perfect as you're going to get at home. I know there's some good versions of Space Harrier, but the Sega Saturn one is pretty spot on actually. And the only thing's missing is a massive big hydraulic cabinet to sit in with a chair and a joystick, and the whole cabinet moves in the direction that you move your character. But unfortunately that machine, even if I could get hold of one, wouldn't fit in here. So as you can see, although it's not a 3D game, it looks like Outrun, and that's because of a technology known as sprite scaling, where you change the size of the sprite to make it appear like it's coming toward you. Do you want to go? Is that what you're trying to nick the joystick? Yeah. Okay, Josh is trying to get the pad off me. Hang on. Right, so Josh is having to go Space Harrier. I do believe you've never played Space Harrier before, have you? This game was designed by the same man that did Outrun.
I can tell.
And Afterburner.
I actually can tell.
And Enduro Racer.
I don't know why, but I can actually tell.
And Hang On.
Never played that.
The motorbike. You have? I'm sure you've played Hang On in Tenerife.
Is that mobile game?
You found it in Tenerife, in an arcade in Tenerife.
Is it that one that you
where you sit on a motorbike and you lean from side to side. This came after... Hang on, this is Space Harrier, as we know. Just in case you didn't know, this is Space Harrier.
Oh, that tree wasn't blowing up.
Now, originally, the guy was not meant to be a guy. He was meant to be a Harrier jump jet. That's why the game's called Space Harrier.
Why didn't they rename it then if they're not going to use Space Harrier?
Because
Blonde
the
guy.
machine wasn't powerful enough to display the sprites and the visuals that he wanted, which I find hard to believe, really, because it's quite a powerful... In its day, it was a very powerful arcade machine. So they dropped the whole idea of having military aircraft in the game and just having this blonde guy called Harrier, who's got a jetpack that he's got. He must have very strong arms.
Am I even
though.
hitting him?
Yeah.
Am I actually?
Yeah. The Harrier must have very strong arms because he's able to hold himself to a flying jetpack. Now, could you imagine doing that?
While shooting.
While shooting, I reckon your arm would break or come off. But he does a good job anyway.
Spamming. I swear, I'm not even hitting him.
Yeah, there's actually a backstory to this game. The backstory is there's a planet, I think it's called Dragonland. And Dragonland is this ideal place where everybody lives happily ever after, and it's absolutely perfect. And Dragonland...
Like Britain?
Just like Britain, actually, yeah. And Dragonland is invaded by an enemy force.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah? Mm-hmm. It happens. It does happen,
It does
actually.
happen, yeah.
And the only living sentient thing on the planet left is this dragon.
Oh, yeah.
And the dragon is called Uriah or something like that. And
Hey! Get in there.
Uriah sends a message out to all things that says, "Help me." And this blonde guy in a jetpack appears.
Well, isn't he a dragon? Surely he'd just be able to eat everyone and just burn everyone because there's a dragon in it. Be able to kill everyone.
I don't know.
Or is he like one of those Chinese dragons that can't hurt anyone?
I think he's supposed to be like the dragon from NeverEnding Story.
Oh, the one that looks like a dog?
Yes, that's the guy, yeah. And
It doesn't even look like a dragon, it just looks like a dog.
he's like a dog dragon thing, isn't he? And he sends a message out, a psychic message, "Help me, I'm being invaded."
This blonde guy must be psychic.
This blonde psychic guy from Earth turns up with incredibly big arms and a jetpack.
And a jetpack.
And says, "I'll help you, dragon."
I'm your last time.
And that's, yeah, basically the last time. And help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi, but that's a different story altogether.
Yo, I'm a legend at this
So
game.
that's the backstory behind
I'm
Space
right at
Harrier.
the boss level. I'm amazing. I've only lost one
You're doing
life.
alright, actually,
Get
to
out
be
of my
fair.
level. You lost 2 lives, it took you to get here.
Well done.
Man, I'm a legend at this game.
So now you're on weird, funky mushroom
days.
level.
Is this what drugs see?
I do think it's a bit druggy. It's a
I was
bit
gonna
tricky,
say,
isn't it, really?
is this what druggies see? Oh my
Big
god.
mushrooms.
Yeah, just like floating mushrooms.
Actually, those
Oh
plants
my
look...
days, moths.
Those plants look familiar, but I don't know where I've
I
seen
know
them
where I've seen
before.
it before.
They look like triffids a bit, actually. You wouldn't have known what
Oh,
triffid
in real
is.
life?
They look like fungus, don't they?
I was thinking the second Star Wars movie.
Are they?
Yeah. No, not the second one, sorry, the third one.
I first played this at West Midlands Safari Park. I was with my mum and dad, and they used to have some good arcades at the Safari Park in the 80s. I would have been about 12, so around about your age, and I wandered in there and I saw this machine, and it's amazing. And the crowds hanging around it. I didn't get to have a go on it for quite a while, actually, if you can imagine, because it was new back then. And it's just like a cockpit. You sit in a chair and the whole machine moves. A bit like Outrun, you know, the full size of Outrun, a bit like that. And it took me ages before I could have a go, and I think my mum and dad got bored because they'd had too many cups of coffee at this point waiting for me. And they were like, "Come on, we got to go home." And I was like, "No, not until I've had a go on this." And do you know what they said? "Stop wasting your money." Stop wasting your money. So it's a bit like me saying to you now, "Stop wasting your money."
See, now you know what I mean.
Yeah, but at least when I put a 10p in a machine, I actually had to get a go on something.
Yeah, but you don't keep it.
No.
You only get to play on the game, and then that's it, you're gone. But what I spend on, you keep it.
Believe me, Josh, if I could have kept that machine, I would.
You couldn't, can you?
No, I dread to think
I spend
how
on
much...
money things I can keep.
What, like loot boxes?
Yeah, you can keep them.
Let's not go there. Now this will be the first video where I don't go, "Wow, what do you think of Space Harrier?" because you're not in the
And
outro.
I don't slap my hands and
No.
go, wow.
Josh, I'm going to miss you.
But we live in the same house.
No, what I mean is, I
me?
think I'm going to miss you in the retro shed, and I think
Oh, yeah.
some of our viewers may miss you. No.
No,
I think
no one will miss
yes,
me.
they will.
No one will miss me.
They will. And do you know what?
What?
The retro shed is so cool. I don't think you can stay away for very long. I think.
You suck.
Oh no. I think when you know I'm
That's a
filming,
creepy scene, you know.
when I'm filming, I think you will just turn up.
I'll just be tapping at the window going,
Yeah.
Hi.
Right, hope you enjoyed that quick look at Space Harrier and some of the history behind such an awesome game. Now, just a quick update on things. So Josh will be taking a bit of a back seat going forwards with the retro shed. He's decided that it's not cool to be doing videos with his dad in the shed now that he's joined high school. So it's probably an age thing, and I get that. That's great. I suppose it's a bit like going clubbing with your dad. It's just not done. But I'm sure Josh will be popping up from time to time in certain videos when he feels like it. So that's great. So stick with us. We'll still be making some videos. Josh will be popping up from time to time, I'm sure. And I'll carry on doing the odd video every now and then. So that we'll still be creating some content that may be worth looking at if you like this sort of thing. So thank you very much for watching, and we will see you soon. Take care now. Bye-bye.